right, well, good morning, and I want to welcome everybody to this episode of Forgotten Liberty Radio. We are the voice of liberty in the Central Valley. I am Matthew, technical producer of the show. As always, I am joined by John. How are you doing, John?
John's alive.
John's alive, that's good. And Justin, happy to have you back.
Thank you for that.
How are you doing?
I'm doing quite excellent today.
Fantastic. If you are watching on our live stream, or even if you aren't, I just want to remind everybody that we do stream to Facebook Saturday 9 a.m. Usually sharp. We were like
usually sharp. We've been like unusually not sharp. That all the times that we've been on Facebook.
Hey, this morning we were on time.
Well, it's 9:02 and you just started, so
okay,
sharp
fine.
is relative, yeah.
We've been shooting for a minute and 30 seconds.
Okay, so that's still 30
seconds late.
minute
We're
and 30
30
seconds
seconds late.
so-
Okay.
Well, you know, you learn something playing in the music scene. You always put the time that you want people to be there way earlier than the show starts.
Yes.
Otherwise,
Yes.
they get there halfway through the set.
This is true.
So-
This is true. Exactly.
We did it on purpose, people.
All right. Well, what do we got? What do we have this morning?
Hey, it's Halloween.
It is Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Are you still
Yes.
scared of the Rona?
Well, I kind of misspoke last week. I never was scared of it. I want to put that out there. I wasn't scared of it, but I mean,
Did you say you were scared of the Rona?
yes, I did.
I didn't even catch that.
I did say it
so-
in those words. I didn't mean it like I was panicky and fearful. It's just like at first when it came out, they were presenting it as the virus from that movie 12 Monkeys. So I was like, maybe I shouldn't be around people I don't know for a while, just to see how it pans out.
Right.
I never even turned a second thought to like pig flu or swine flu or bird flu or all them other, they, for the past 20 years, they've been lining one up right after the other. Seems like they all come from China too.
Well, everything does. You know what I forgot to do,
And we just got
Matthew?
banned from Facebook.
Don't say that. I forgot to put it out on the Americans Restoring Representation site.
I already did.
You did that?
It's already up there.
How?
There's a handy little button that says share.
Yeah, you did
then I hit
that
it.
on your own?
Yep.
Okay. Well,
I usually do.
I
I do have a surprise for you, Phyllis.
when I share it, it's like, an admin. Aren't
Oh,
you an
okay.
admin on there?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yep. So I did it.
whatever. Apparently I gave that shit out to Matthew and didn't even know it.
Being that it's Halloween, I brought you guys some treats.
Well,
Ooh.
I got little treats like this.
Awesome. Well, here, I brought each of you guys a pocket constitution.
Look,
Awesome.
from the Libertarian Party of Stanislaus County.
And
That's great.
I also brought you,
Thank you.
And this, you might not be totally in line with, but
What
some
is it?
anarchist literature.
Oh, okay.
Take in mind, it's all ideological, philosophical stuff. It's not like practical application stuff. It's more like to get you thinking. And
Who wrote this? In
this is by a
2016?
fella named Adam Kokesh. He's part of the party. He runs for president all the time. He's kind of like a what do you call it?
Why we got Joe, Adam?
What's that?
But we got Joe
Joe who?
Jorgensen.
Oh, she's the party's nominee,
Oh.
but he ran for it too. He just didn't get chosen during the convention, but he's ran a few times. He's kind of some people would call him a provocateur, but more just like a guy that does civil disobedience. But he has his own podcast and he does several things active in the community.
Awesome.
I'll turn you on to him.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Hey, so
Thank you.
we were bouncing around on Facebook. I think I tagged Matthew in the
Yes.
in the post.
Yes, you did.
Where now I can't find it, but that was on the 30,000.org, and subsequently it's been changed from the author to another individual. So I was asking questions on the particular post about the thread the guy posted there. He said, we have the 8 from 1 deal going on. And did you catch why I tagged you in that, Matthew?
I just muted myself. Not exactly. I was reading it though.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it now.
Here it is.
the...
Let me change it to all comments.
Is that it? I hate how Facebook does that. Like, most relevant. Who's...
Yeah, I know.
Why does Mark Zuckerberg get to decide what I think is most relevant?
Okay, here. So let me
Just
see.
show me the damn comments and let me decide who I'm going to look at and who I'm not.
Yeah, they try to. I think. Oops.
You can change the settings on there.
Yeah, I just did,
okay.
and now I lost where it was. Where did you?
Oh, yeah, because it changes the order of them when you do that.
Right. No,
Facebook's
no,
full of
no.
tricks.
Most relevant is selected. No, I just didn't select. Okay, it said all comments. There we go. 7 more comments.
Yeah, so I don't know if this William H. Pope is he's obviously the author of the thread, because it said author when I responded to 30,000.org, right? And subsequently, the founder, Jeff E. Quittem, doesn't understand my question. My question was about the Texas state split, but neither one of these guys ever got back to me. William H. Pope, who was the author originally, because it said 30,000's logo in the author. You know, I have my own page, Americans Restoring Representation, and I know, what Facebook looks like. So, William, get you together. If you're going to post as you, post as you. If you're going to post as 30,000.org, post as 30,000.org. But don't start a comment thread on your post as the organization, and then have the founder, ask me questions because they don't understand my questions, and then neither one of you respond to me once I private message you and this and that.
Wow.
I mean, 30,000.org and Americans Restoring Representation have the same view on representation, that the 435 in the House can't represent 329 million people.
But this movement you're talking about is from Texas?
Well, no, this guy William Pope says divide Texas into 7 states so that we can have 12 more Texas senators. Well, first of all, if you divide Texas into 7 states, do you have 12 more Texas senators, or do you have 2 Texas senators and 10 other
12
state
new
senators?
state senators,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, so...
Well, and does that, that raises the question, does Texas remain a state and it's just going to be smaller and they have break-off states, or is Texas going to cease to exist and it will just be those states that they've created out of it?
Well, like we're trying to do with the Divided Together.
Right.
Be
But yours is clearly showing there would be no more California after that.
Right, and you know what? I don't know how you and Matthew feel about it, but the Sharon, Terry, and I, we're the 3 co-founders of Americans Restoring Representation, and Sharon's, the heart and soul of the Divided Together. That was her idea, her inception. And there was some discussion last night with a member of our younger community about why things were, and we can get into that in a few moments. But Sharon's desire, and subsequently the board of Americans Restoring Representation, has decided that our official stance is the name California should go away.
Right. Well, that's what I gathered from the map you were showing.
Like California's dead.
Yeah, it would not be a state.
And then, so the name California would go away, and nobody could use any portion of California as a name. Now, you choose 8 additional names. I don't know. If Los Angeles was to become its own state, they would probably want to be the state of Los Angeles.
Probably.
Right.
Well,
that's up for them to decide, right?
Yeah, personally, I really don't care if someone wants to be Northern California, Southern California, but I'm telling you, like, to have 8 different Californias would just be ridiculous.
New California, new California, new
Central California, Northeast California,
New California,
Yeah, exactly.
New California, as opposed to the state of Jefferson. I mean, like, New Mexico is not Mexico.
Right. Yeah.
It's not even similar to Mexico because it's not within the Mexican union.
Right, exactly.
So,
Well, it was at one point
we got
that our history changed that. But that's a different discussion. That's historical discussion.
yeah, but whatever. This is not Mexico. Okay? And just so people know, when you lose wars, lands
Well, yeah, borders change. I mean,
lands typically were
you don't hear
Strange.
people bitching about the dissolution of Yugoslavia. You know what I mean? Or all the other things that have changed in Europe over. I mean, maybe there are still people doing it, but it doesn't seem to be a mainstream idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was interesting that there is some talk in Texas about splitting that into 7 states. Now,
I'm surprised, honestly.
well, that's why I tagged you in it.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, let's get Matthew involved in the conversation there.
Sorry, I didn't get like.
I don't know
super
though.
involved.
I don't.
Yeah,
I don't
no,
see
he
that
just-
being achievable in Texas as easily as California, because Texas has a whole different like state pride than we do here.
And that's why I said I was. That's kind of weird
Yeah, but
hearing
yeah,
that.
And
Here's
they
the-
started as their own republic. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
they
Well, what does
reserved-
our flag say?
well, the California Republic, but they started as their own nation. When they broke away from Mexico, they became
stop.
their own nation before they joined the states.
Okay, so what is a state?
Well, the states originally were colonies, and they band together to make the United States. But even after the formation of the original United States, Texas became its own republic nation.
So are we?
And
are
then we brought it into the states. And I
No.
believe in their constitution, they
Texas-
reserve the right to actually still break away and be the Republic of Texas.
Well, we all reserve the right to break away.
Well, that depends on the
Except
state.
for California's constitution. It depends on the constitution of the state. The Constitution of California says we're an inseparable part of the United States.
Exactly. Texas
Right.
didn't do that.
So, well, however, but just because our Constitution says that doesn't mean that we can't amend our
Oh, yeah.
Constitution to allow it.
Yeah, exactly.
And being a state in the United States doesn't necessarily mean you give up your sovereignty.
Well, you're not supposed to. That's kind of the point, is that each state was supposed to have its own sovereignty, and then we band together as a coalition for the greater good of our entire continent, or the continent that we inhabit. Obviously, there's Canada and Mexico, but yeah, people seem to think that national federal level is like the ultimate goal, but each state was supposed to be its own thing.
Each state
They're
is
just
its
band
own
together
nation.
as an alliance.
So real quick, I knew that there was something about this, and I couldn't remember what it was. So Texas legally has the right to split into 5 states,
Oh, do
but
they?
it does not have the right to secede from the union.
Not to go back to being its own country.
Yeah, so they're definitely a lot more.
So-
Because what you were saying, Justin, was like
Maybe the split thing is the more
Yeah.
possible thing for them.
Yeah,
then.
and I'm gonna put this in as the Texas Tribune. I'm gonna put this in the show notes. I'm gonna try and find a little more on this though.
So what we need
But-
to do is find the admittance bill to Texas
Yes.
and make sure that
Yes.
that is indeed what it says, because as we know, all of these schmucks that write newspaper articles don't necessarily research the admittance bills.
Yeah.
And what the president signed that come out of the House and Senate, and what the states put forth
Mm-hmm.
in the admittance bill is what's going to be gospel in that case.
Yeah.
So I mean, I wouldn't.
admittance bill was signed in. Oh shoot! I just lost it.
Yeah, if that's the case, well, you guys need to get rid of DFW, make it its own
Yeah,
state, and
exactly.
and give us some more electoral votes. What are you doing, Texas? What the hell? Austin and Dallas Fort Worth, man, those need to be their own states.
Yeah, I was just looking at this. There is a relatively geographical divide here, right? I mean, you have the western part of the state, but then you have kind of this eastern part, and even within the eastern part, you have the major areas.
Well,
that-
economically, Midland, Odessa, that whole oil area there, they could support
right,
themselves.
right,
But once you get out there to West Texas, there's not a whole lot of population, really.
yeah. But like these population centers here are all very different for the most part. They're all Texas, but they're all relatively different. So I think
Well,
they
that's
could
cool.
stand it.
Texas, you can get at least 8 more senators there.
There you go.
No, but if you look up the word state in the dictionary, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, state can mean different things. It can also
Right.
just be
Now-
a reference to the government. The
Well-
government is the state, you know.
or the state
when they
of the
refer to the state, they're talking about the government.
or the state of Donald Trump's tax law case.
Exactly.
What's the situation on it?
Right, exactly.
That's the first definition, the particular condition that someone or
Exactly.
something is in a specific time.
Exactly.
Oh,
And then
this-
it can also refer to a governing body.
Well, wait, this is on Google's own deal, so we're on the propaganda machine's own definitions here, right?
Well, I
Off
usually
of
go with
Google
Webster,
search.
but they tend to change it for whatever popular belief is being held as well.
No, but we have to, but we have to go with what all the young kids are able to access, right? And the young kids, they don't take into consideration there's multiple definitions for things. Well,
Right.
people really don't, anyways. That's why we have the jurisdictional conflicts in the 14th Amendment. You can go back and we did a show just on the citizenship question, and you can look at all that. But the second definition of state is a nation or territory considered as an organized political community under one government. Germany, Italy, and other European states, right? But they don't take it further and say when they speak that the state of California or the state of Texas means that we're independent and sovereign,
Right.
right? So in the United States, that just means we are United Nations, not like the United Nations in New York.
Well, right. It's all in the name if you break it down. The United States of America.
And what is America?
We are the states of America. America is the landmass that we live on.
right, the continent.
You know where it gets its name, right?
Up from the continent.
America, where the name America derives
Who cares?
from.
But
I
the
do,
continent is
because
named-
I like history. I don't want to be an ignorant son of a bitch, so I like to learn those kinds of things. But anyway,
Amerigo Vespucci.
there you go. He was an Italian explorer.
Right, but my point is, okay, so like I've said, I think I've even mentioned it on this program. You know, you ask a Mexican, you know, what's your nationality? Well, then they're going to say Mexican.
Right.
But you say, I'm American. And then you get upset. Well, you may not. I don't. I know Matthew doesn't, but I know people, you know, I see it on Facebook all the time. Mm-hmm. I'm an American. Well, the person that clearly lists their address, their residency in you know, Peru says, I'm American too.
Oh, yeah, they're South American.
Well, but they're still American.
Right.
Right? And
By
here's
the
the point.
continental definition,
But it doesn't.
they're not United States of American.
So what? I'm a Native American. What does that mean?
You're an Indian?
No.
Then you'd be from India.
No.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah, but I'm a Native American. What does the word native mean?
It
right?
means you're from a place.
right. So
Yeah,
but you were
technically.
like born
Well,
there.
have you ever seen Gangs of New York?
Yeah, well,
One of the gangs in there, they're like the native-born Americans, and they call themselves Native Americans. You know, they're going against like all the Irish immigrants.
yeah. However, I don't get a casino. I don't get none of that.
Well, you're not that kind of Native American. You're a Native Californian.
No, I'm.
Oh, you mean you have Native blood, like
no,
you're
I don't.
Cherokee?
I'm
or-
sure we all do because.
Well,
it-
yeah, we all have
Okay.
a sprinkle of it here or there.
So, like, I was having a conversation with a candidate, and they were trying to break it down into social groups or cultures, you know.
Right.
And I said, well, look, are you Christian? And he said, yeah. Why are you? And he got real excited, like we were going to go on to some religious, you know, chat. And I was like, oh, well, you know, I believe in a higher authority, but specifically, you're Christian. Do you practice Christianity? Yeah. Okay. So I said, so you're like trying to separate us into Latinos and Caucasians and this and that and that and that. And you forgot the story of the Tower of Babel and where all the different languages started and the story where all the different complexions started. I mean, come at me with something else, brother.
You bringing that up reminds me of something funny. And so, have you guys heard of this language learning program called
Yeah,
Babbel? And I think that's the most ridiculous thing, and I made fun of it, and my coworker said he was using it, and I'd made fun of it to him. And there's this one particular commercial where the girl, and you could tell she's like a total blonde-haired, blue-eyed Valley White girl, and she's like, I can't wait to use what I've learned in practical life. Dos cervezas, por favor. And I'm thinking, oh my God, did you really have to take a language learning program to learn that? Are you kidding me? Okay.
Well, not everybody.
But then I said, but to go beyond that point, why would you name a language learning program Babel? That is the stupidest thing. I mean, even in its modern day usage, it means to talk incoherently or ramble without sense. But like you're pointing out, the biblical story of it, the Tower of Babel, was a bunch of people trying to build a tower to heaven, to reach heaven. Mm-hmm. God was so displeased, he struck them all down with the ability to speak different languages so that they couldn't communicate with each other. That's why he did it in the story.
You know what's even funnier?
He made it so that they all can't even talk to each other because they all speak different languages now and they can't work on the tower anymore. So basically it comes from a story about not being able to communicate. And they named their language learning program after this.
It's like, spelled with two B's,
yeah,
too,
they should
so
have.
It's not even really the same.
Oh, they changed it?
Well, it's. I mean, if you think about it, it's misspelled, I guess.
Well, is it misspelled?
Well, that means that they're bad at spelling, too. Gosh, man, you guys need to get their act together.
Okay,
they need to look at Rosetta Stone. Now, that is a good name.
All right. Mr. History over here saying that you know, they can't
you know what
even
the Rosetta Stone was?
Who cares about the stone? All I'm
People
saying
that
is how
care
do we
about history, man. You got to understand world history if you want to understand all these different, like,
I got it.
political.
And you know I do. But my point is, how do we know that any way we spell anything or the characters we use were even the?
Well, it doesn't matter. It's all made up.
Right.
We all derived it from our own minds as human beings. It's not like God sent down a thing and was like, here's your alphabet, use it. You know what I mean? That's why I brought up the Rosetta Stone. It was an artifact that actually taught you how to translate this lost language that people didn't know how to speak, like several languages for a long, long time. And then they found this missing stone that actually translated it, and they were able to like learn all these lost languages again.
Right.
I found the annexation.
You know
Sorry, I'm totally jumping back.
You know what I wish there was?
I found it.
I wish there was a stone that made some people shut the up.
It is. It's called marijuana. Every time I get stoned, I get a lot quieter.
That's the state of being stoned, not
well,
a
it's
stone.
close enough for me.
I mean, there are stones that can make somebody permanently be quiet.
Yeah.
That's all of them.
Yeah, most stones or rocks related to drugs make you talk more, I think, right?
There you go. So here's the ordinance of annexation approved by the Texas Convention, 1845. Right here, new states of convenient size, not exceeding 4 in number, in addition to said state of Texas. So it's Texas plus 4. And having sufficient population may, hereafter, by the consent of said state, be formed out of the territory thereof, which shall be entitled to admission under the provisions of the federal Constitution.
Yeah, the territory of Texas. So now you need to take into account the territory, and have we already done that?
Yeah, so it actually tells you, and it says, such states as may be formed out of the territory lying south of 36 degrees, 30 minutes north latitude, commonly known as the Missouri Compromise line, shall be admitted into the Union with or without slavery as people of each state, asking admission as shall desire, and in such state or states shall be formed out of said territory north of said Missouri Compromise line, slavery or involuntary servitude.
Do you
except for
understand
crime
that?
shall be prohibited.
Yeah, he just
Because
went
the
off
Missouri
reading.
Compromise is a historical event, so I know that you're kind of against that.
No, I'm not against that. I'm just saying. He just totally didn't even understand my questioning, like the 30,000.org folks. So what I'm saying is,
What part has to be left as
below
Texas?
that
Yes.
line, right?
Yeah,
Of the Missouri Compromise, this area we knew as the Texas Territory.
right.
Okay, how many states have been formed from the Texas Territory as of today?
Right.
Because if New Mexico was part of the
Yeah.
Texas Territory, if Arizona was part
Right,
of the
right,
Texas Territory, now we have to take these things into consideration. Was Oklahoma part of the Texas Territory?
Part of it
so
was.
we can't have a legitimate discussion
Yeah. let's see. I'm
Okay,
looking.
but
to
then
see.
the Oklahoma issue, you have to take into effect the treaties with the Native Americans, right?
It's good that you brought that up because that's how the Panhandle of Oklahoma got made. It was originally Texas, and they cut it off to make it below that Missouri Compromise line, and that's how you got the Panhandle of Oklahoma.
Wikipedia.
See, it's right there.
If I'm looking right,
they can't see his computers.
no, it's right there.
Don't they see the right
This
hand
is the
screen, right?
right hand side is what's currently streaming.
I'm-
You can't see it quite yet.
I'm more on board with this already, man. Come on.
Well, see, this
You
is
got
the
it on your
So-
computer
so-
screen. You should know what they're seeing.
So this is, you can see you have Mexico down here, and then you have the territory of Texas, which looks like, I'm trying to figure out what exactly all the
I mean,
lines
you
are.
can even see the
Well, it
Panhandle of
shows you.
Oklahoma right there. in
Two,
the
Okay,
green.
so it
4,
shows you
5.
right here. You have parts of.
Yeah, they show you the real line of Texas, the modern one,
Yeah.
that white one that's real faint in there.
Right. Well, yeah. So you have that. It's this bottom blue line here, and then this white line right along
Yeah, that
here.
would, right. And then
So-
you can see the Panhandle of Oklahoma right
Right,
there. where it used to
right.
be.
So if you count
So
all of
there's
these, that's
already
1,
four in
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know what exactly
doesn't
this
have
red-
Texas cannot
Exactly.
split
Exactly.
without a new deal.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, this is a totally different one, showing the Republic of Texas.
Yes.
Just being this portion right here.
It's weird how the territories and states changed over time.
Yeah. So this is November 1842 to March 1845. If you want to take this, the current state of Texas doesn't even exist inside this. I mean, sorry, like what I'm saying is the current state of Texas includes more area than just this republic here.
Right.
So, I don't know.
Okay, but you have to look at the disputed between Mexico and Texas, right?
Right.
As that would be.
But it was admitted into the Union in 1845. So this is a map from 42 to 45. So that disputed land, yes, it ended up being subsumed by the United States and becoming Texas as it is today. But I don't know whether that was originally a part of the territory of Texas. Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, it don't matter because this map is still giving us to Mexico and
Yeah.
Alaska to Russia.
I'm going to throw this into our show notes. There's a lot of maps and stuff.
Yeah,
on
they
there,
and they've
a lot of
changed so much over the time in the format.
Yeah,
Look
yeah.
at Oregon, where it used to go up into Canada.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
That's not our northern border now.
No. I didn't even realize it went
But
that
did you
far
know
up.
that Canada was given the option to join the United States?
Right.
Them people screwed up,
Right. Well,
now,
it was
now
actually
the Canadian dollar, the
was-
exchange rate currently is $1.33 Canadian to every dollar United States.
It was the Mexican-American War that helped us secure our northern border because they saw what we did to Mexico and they were like, we don't want that. We'll just draw a line and we'll make a deal. And that's why James K. Polk was the president during that time.
Oh, so
He's
so
the one
Polk was
that's-
the one who actually signed. I was just reading here.
He secured our manifest
Yeah.
destiny in this country.
Well, and he was one of the ones that so Polk was where am I? Basically, he was the one who signed in Texas as well.
Mm-hmm.
During his last full day in office, decided to act to improve the odds for the immediate annexation. So Tyler, who was the outgoing president, tried to get it in, and then Polk took office the next day.
I love
upheld-
presidential history. I can
Yeah.
go on and on about it all
Polk
day.
upheld the decision.
well, and you know what? That's great because, what do we have happening Tuesday?
The election.
The election.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just turned in my ballot right before I came here.
I
turned mine in
haven't
yet.
yet.
I
It's
would-
sitting right there.
I will drop my stuff off Tuesday morning
That's my plan as
down
well.
at the county office because
Right.
you know what?
Well, I did it at a satellite office. There's the one at the American Legion there by us in Ceres.
the box goes up in flames.
That can't happen from the office downtown. I mean, is paper any less flammable depending on which office you turn it into?
No,
If they want to burn it, they're going to burn it.
I pull over, I park, I walk it right into the lobby and
Yeah.
in the building. And they go, sir, the box right here. No, there's a box inside too.
Yeah. And if I had the key to that box and opened it and held a lighter to it, it would burn just the same as if I turned it in at a satellite office. or through the mail or anywhere else.
Yeah, whatever.
If you're concerned about the election and all that not being secure, then, and I am. I'm not saying there's no concerns for that.
Usually I got to go in because I hose up the envelope.
One method to me is the same as any other, as long as it's in their hands. It went in. I did it in front of a county worker into their little secure ballot box. Like I put it in there myself.
Everybody's all worried about it. Anyways,
I'm not.
I mean,
I'm the anarchist in me is like, let it all burn down, but I'm a survivalist. I have rifles and ammo and fishing gear and.
Burn, baby, burn, said the anarchists. The Black Lives Movement matter.
No.
The Antifa.
No, none of that.
What other groups do we have currently burning things? Because it seems to me every anti-government organization wants to toast.
You know what I've noticed about groups that say anti this or anti that? You can just basically remove the word anti, and then they're telling you what they're into. Because when you boil down their practices, they do the same thing that they plan to be, that they claim to be against.
A bunch of fascists,
right? They're not necessarily fascists, but they sure do like their tactics. You know what I mean? You might not be a Nazi, but you sure do think their methods worked well.
So on Facebook, there's a picture going around with the guy that's got a Chevrolet or GMC pickup, and he's hung the Antifa looking dude. It's got a black hoodie and it says Antifa, pair of blue jeans. It's fake. It's like a scarecrow on the front of his truck, right? But, Antifa.
He probably did it as a joke or something.
Yeah, well, who's blocking highways? Antifa, Black Lives Matter,
right.
all these groups are blocking the roadways, and he hangs this thing across the deal. Facebook puts a explicit content deal, or graphic content warning over the top of this thing. It's not like,
oh man,
the guy
I can't find it.
Actually hit someone. Oh, you know where I think it is. So there's a group on Facebook called 101 Gray Rules. I seen it on there. They may have took it down because that group is pretty wide open where anything kind of goes. There's a lot of racers in the group.
I'm not seeing
101 Gray Area Rules.
Gray Area Rules.
Yeah.
And what is this group dedicated to?
Well, just put up whatever. A lot of of physical innuendo stuff.
Yeah, I don't see it. And even when I
so they go into like the controversial areas of different topics.
Not really. It's more physical activity in nature.
Okay.
It's
like a meme sharing page or something kind of.
It's a little on the obscene sexually. But yeah, they're always getting busted on here. Right here. So I found it. Okay. So originally it was posted by a Bob Fazio, Fazio, Tuesday at 4:04 a.m. It says, this photo may contain cruel or insensitive content, and you have to see the photo.
That's funny to me. Yeah, see, I can see the humor in that.
Here, send that to me via Messenger. No, I can pull it up on the actual screen.
Oh, now I got to figure it won't let me share it. So now I got to tap the photo.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. I got it.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that cool?
It's funny.
I do something like
I
that.
think it's funny. Funny.
That's pretty funny.
So I think it was like 93 or 94. Walmart sold they had a little PVC pipe. It was like a piece of pant with a shoe sewn to it. They did one with a hand and a shirt.
Right.
And we hung these things out the trunk of my mom's.
Yeah, I remember that. Like they make like an arm with like a flap that you could stick under a door.
Right. Okay, so my mother had a Lincoln Mark 8 at the time. Mm-hmm. They weren't junky cars. They were like a highly desirable car. But my uncle owned a used car lot, so you see something at the auction you want, he'd get it. You know?
Right.
Not that these things didn't have salvage titles and weren't repaired, but, you know, it still looked like a sharp car. Lincoln Continental Mark 8, you know, was a nice looking car. And
yeah, that's some presidential stuff there.
So it's my brothers and I are driving around in Mom's car as teenagers, and we got these things hung out the trunk. Do you know the Surrey Police Department had every officer on duty at the time surrounding our driveway? Have you ever had a weapon pulled on you by a police officer? Yes, I have. In my own driveway.
That's really funny.
For a gag hand and a gag foot, because someone
they
called
thought you had someone in the trunk?
Someone called in. No, I'm a dick, dude. Someone called in and said there's a body in the trunk of this car, right?
They thought you had a hostage or something.
First of all, if I got a nice car like that,
I'm not going to put a body in there.
No, that's not my point. Even if I chose to put a body in there,
wrap it in plastic first. Sure.
Hold on. There's plenty of room in the trunk of a Lincoln Continental Mark 8 to
not
stuff
have
the whole body
right.
in.
Oh, yeah, you can put a few bodies in one of those. Not that we condone any of this.
I'm just saying. So the police officers, you know, get behind us. And, you know, at one point in time, the Surrey Police Department wasn't known for being upstanding. You know,
is that
actually we have a lieutenant on the Surrey Police Department whose father was probably one of the largest street pharmacists in South Modesto. Wow. And if you don't know your Surrey's history,
we're going to have to watch ourselves driving through our own hometown because of you. You're about to get us in some serious heat with the heat. No, I don't care. Tell us more about these corrupt cops.
Whatever. Yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, the department was kind of corrupt.
Right.
You know, I don't know what the department is under the current chief's regime, but I do know that the department was behaving in manners that they should not have been behaving in.
Right.
Okay. And I do understand that the attention or the force that was portrayed against my brothers and I was kind of a tit for tat that we had with the police department at the time, right? Because you ain't gonna do me like that,
right?
Because you're not supposed to do me like that. I mean, at one point in time, my brothers would like straight walked across Whitmore in the middle of the road, and there's a passerby that came up and said, "Dude, I just heard what came over the radio when that cop's over there talking to your brothers." I said, "What?" He said, "The radio clearly said if it's those Osgood boys, just leave them alone." I mean,
that's funny.
I mean, I'm not saying that's the case now.
Right.
But if you screw with me or my family and you violate our rights, you know, and you're not doing your job, well, your chief's going to hear about it.
Right.
You know, he's going to hear about it from me. I'm not quiet. That's why we, you know.
Right.
I said right here on this show, big mouth is one of the definitions of a Wani. Right. I will let that baby roll.
Yeah,
but I'm not an unintelligent.
I've come to learn that about you.
But I'm not unintelligent, right?
Right. Well, and you're not constant. It's not like it's nonstop. But when you got something to say, you'll say it. But I mean, here's the thing, man. Police corruption, and me and my coworker talk about this one every once in a while. Do you remember in the 1990s, the Modesto Police Department, there were many officers stealing guns out of the evidence locker.
Right. It wasn't
and selling them on the street or keeping them because they liked them or whatever they were doing with them. But they were, you know, taking these evidence locker guns, illegally obtaining them and making a profit or keeping them or doing. I mean, that was a major scandal. They had like an internals affair investigation over it and everything. I remember it was huge.
Well, and it wasn't just Modesto. I mean,
no, I'm just saying that specific incident, you know, that's where it took place.
There have been times in every state and in this nation, in every county where, you know, the police departments are notoriously corrupt. I mean, you take state law that says you or I can't do something, but a police officer can do the exact same thing that we would be in prison for.
Are you referencing the coronavirus lockdown?
No, I don't give a I don't care about coronavirus.
Well, they enforced a lot of unconstitutional laws during that. You should care about it. We talked about it last week, in fact.
How many people in this room called out Ted Brandvold, called out Galen Carroll, called out Jeff Dirksey?
I don't know who Carroll is.
Galen Carroll is your Modesto Police Department chief of police.
Oh, okay. I recognize the mayor's name, obviously.
So how many people in this room say that the original job of the police department is to enforce municipal code, yet we have civilians running around citing us for municipal code violations,
right,
while our police departments are state actors?
Exactly.
Me. I say that all the time.
Exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying. You were talking about it last week with the executive orders. You know, that's something we should talk about. What do you think about Gavin Newsom and his Thanksgiving dictates? Okay. Have you heard about all the stuff? His supposed rules for Thanksgiving?
Give me a break. 2 people, 10 people, 18 people,
and it can only be outside.
Doesn't matter. I'm overeating outside. It's getting cold. And if
when the weather's nice, it's great. But when it gets cold, I don't want to do it.
You want me to come to your goddamn restaurant? You'll feed me inside. Because if you're not intelligent enough to understand that the governor's executive orders have a sunset date, they have a legal date that they must end by, and you're going to allow that to affect, number one, how you treat your customers, and how you run your business, then you need to fail.
Right. Well, technically speaking, I don't see why they need to have a sunset date anyway, because they weren't put into law. Governor's orders should not be law. They shouldn't be carried out by law enforcement. We didn't elect a king. We elected a governor.
Because our legislatures allow it.
Well, everybody's allowed it.
Right. So you look at this... What is the purpose of an executive order? The purpose of an executive order is to give direction to executive level departments.
Right.
If Gavin Newsom doesn't want his employee at the DMV to have an intergalactic kegger at their house, well, that's fine as their employer.
Right.
Okay. And we've put him in that position. Sorry, DMV employees. Gavin Newsom is your highest level supervisor. If he says you won't have a Thanksgiving or Christmas celebration with more than 6 people, and you will do it outside, and you're found to not be complying with that, well, I think Gavin Newsom ought to fire your ass, because he's saying so you can safely and adequately fulfill the needs of my customer, you won't do this.
Right.
But not to say, John, Matthew, Justin, you can't do this. He has no authority to do that.
No, not at all.
Right? So, if he wants the Department of Justice, the police departments, the DMV employees, I mean, that's what the executive orders are for.
Mm-hmm.
The legislature's not subordinate to him. Right. So it doesn't even affect the legislature or the people. The courts aren't subordinate to him. It doesn't affect the courts.
Well, no.
These are what executive orders are.
Well, they could go against them. Look what happened in Michigan. The legislature went against Governor Whitmer, and then she was like, well, we're going to do it anyway. And then the courts were like, no, you're not. And then the AG said, we're not going to carry out any of your orders anymore. They're unconstitutional. You're not allowed to do it. The legislature told you no. The court told you no. The state AG had to say, we're not going to carry out any of your orders anymore. But she's fighting them tooth and nail.
Well, Kylie and Gallagher are suing. We haven't heard how that came out yet.
Yeah.
So,
well, there's going to be a ton of lawsuits. There's already starting to be, but by the time this is over, they're just going to be more and more.
Well, but the judge is deliberating on the California stuff. Oh, he just scrolling through the news over here.
Yeah, I'm just looking at news stories.
Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin. You know, I don't know if anybody knows who Denny Hamlin is.
NASCAR driver, right?
Denny Hamlin is a NASCAR driver. Yeah. So Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin team up to give our Black Lives Matter driver, Bubba Wallace,
I saw that.
a new ride for 2021 because his Richard Petty Motorsports ride will have expired. And they're not going to renew his contract. Gee, I wonder why. Could it be because the Petty family is very, very patriotic and believes that while they've allowed Bubba Wallace to disrespect NASCAR, they will not be bringing him back for a contract renewal?
Yeah.
I think so. So then you have to have a rich African American step in, who, of course, as Barack Obama would say, got that way through no fault of his own. He didn't build that wealth. America did. Well, now he's giving Bubba Wallace a job because they're all, interested in the same anti-government behavior.
Of course.
However, so who's gonna win the presidency? Who's got any predictions?
Oh, I don't even have a clue, man.
No clue.
It depends on which sources you're listening to, because all the polls say one thing.
Well, and the polls are always accurate?
No, they are not.
No. I mean, if I had to wager a guess, I really don't see Biden winning.
No, I
really don't.
I think we're going to see a second Trump term.
Yeah. And to be clear, I phrased it that way because it's not that Trump is winning.
No.
It's that Biden is losing.
I just think that's the way. Yeah, I think that's how it'll play out. I don't.
And I honestly, I didn't watch the second debate. I haven't yet.
I
need to.
I wouldn't put hard money on it. Well, there technically was no second debate. There were opposing town halls that happened at the same time.
There were
there
two
was a second
debates.
debate. Yeah.
Yeah, there's supposed to be 3.
Right. But there was a second one.
Then they had, yes.
There's not supposed to be any.
Okay, well,
Where does it say debates?
The way
They had
that
scheduled
the
3.
CPD, the corrupt organization, the Commission of Presidential Debates,
CPD?
would have scheduled 3, but the second one didn't happen. They had those 2 opposing town halls, and then they had a third debate.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Like last time it was Trump versus Clinton, they had 3, remember? This time they had the first one that we all watched. It was a total circus. And then they had the second one where they both did their own town hall, but at the same time on different channels.
Yeah, whatever.
And then they had a third and final debate.
Got you.
So you know what I find very interesting? You watch these Trump protests because you can't have a rally in
Right.
certain states. These Trump gatherings, anyways, and you see thousands of people, and then you see the news clips that we don't want to, that Facebook, Google, all these social media outlets are going to shove down your throat. And Joe Biden's got 6-foot circles drawn 6 feet apart. There's like 24 circles.
Not even enough people to fill them.
They're not even all full. And he has nobody there.
Yeah.
So Joe Biden is the one.
And there's been all kinds of Trump rallies in this area.
And even out in the Bay
towns,
Area.
and little towns.
Yeah.
Houston, Hilmar.
And even Bay Area towns. There were some pretty significant, sizable ones out in the center of the Bay Area.
Down in Beverly Hills, they had a huge one.
Yeah.
And it's weird because, like, in this area, you might see some demonstrations in Modesto, but most of our towns, those towns I just named, typically are not real, like, politically active as far as having demonstrations and rallies and such.
Oakdale just gets their rolling rally this weekend.
Do they?
Pretty small, I guess.
I wouldn't be surprised if they see some opposition there. People hate Oakdale.
Well, there was a
Some
BLM protest
people hate
yesterday on the corner of Countryside, Monte Vista.
Oh, was there?
Yeah.
What? Right here?
Yeah, right here.
In Turlock?
Yeah, there were like 5 people there. They had a bunch of signs saying F Trump, BLM, Pride, whatever. Had a bullhorn out there. It was the 2 founders of the BLM chapter of Turlock. or Turlock's BLM chapter were out there with a bunch of their friends.
If I dump water on them, will they melt?
I don't know. They're probably liberal snowflakes, so yeah.
I gotta
no idea.
be honest with you. What would these loudmouth degenerates do if a guy like me pulled over and said, "Okay, you got your viewpoint, I got my viewpoint. Put your dukes up, and let's solve it right here." Because I'm sick
would
and
turn
tired of
pro-police very quickly.
I am
Yes.
sick and tired of you standing on my corner with vulgarities. Now, hey, this is my media outlet or our media outlet, and I will use some language from time to time that all people might not agree with, right? But I'm not standing on the corner with a "fuck you" sign
Yeah.
to anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. I'm not yelling and screaming these obscenities in public, right? Now, I'm not saying I've never yelled and screamed an obscenity in public, but
But it usually happens in a bar where
it
people
could
expect
happen
it.
on the street. But it's not just I'm standing there to share my view and being vulgar in public. Why have we allowed society to become this way?
You know, as much as I agree with what you're saying, I also believe, let ignorant people expose themselves.
Right, but when they
Let them put their bad ideas out there so everyone hears it and knows they don't want to interact or deal with these people.
right, but my point is
I feel
these
the
are
same way about the white supremacists.
these are 20-something kids, right?
most of them. Mostly.
Yeah, 20, 30-something kids. And back in the day, older guys would pull over and say, "You're acting a fool, knock it off." Right?
Right.
It wasn't to control their viewpoint or their speech. It was, this is not the place
It
for
was
that.
to enlighten them.
Right. This is not the place for that.
It's called
And your-
guidance.
And your behavior will reflect upon you. You're in a public setting, and this behavior will absolutely affect your ability to pull yourself out of your current situation.
Right.
Because you know what? I'm a business owner. And if I see any one of them two schmucks come to me and say, "I need a truck driving job," guess who's not going to get it?
Right.
And,
Right.
and let's be realistic. I do have the ability to discriminate in who I hire and fire. Discrimination is the key to the application and hiring process.
Discrimination's one of those words that we talk about, with the definitions, and people don't realize discrimination doesn't necessarily always have to have a bad or evil connotation to it. We discriminate every day in our lives. That's how you make judgments. That's how you make decisions. Because you discriminate based on your personal experiences, and you say, these are the people I want to deal with or interact with. These are the people I don't. That's discrimination. Discrimination is choosing what TV shows you watch. That's discrimination.
Yeah, that dickhead didn't hire me
discretion.
because I'm a black guy. I got 4 black guys working for me. This dickhead didn't hire you because you don't have the adequate licensing that the state requires for you to drive my damn truck. Nothing to do with your skin color. You know what I mean? But nobody takes that into consideration. Or that guy didn't hire me because I'm Mexican, or that guy didn't hire me because I'm gay, or that guy didn't hire me because I'm transgender questioning.
Right.
What the hell? I didn't hire you because I don't think you're qualified for the job I'm offering.
A lot of people would overlook this, but I think the trucking industry is a great example of that, because I see all people of all different demographics and trucks these days.
You should have seen
I
the
see
guy.
people of different colors. I see women. I see and I unload, trucks at my job at the forklift. I interact with the drivers. There are drivers of every color and race and ethnicity and sex and whatever else you want to throw in the little identity blender.
Dude, you should
And
have seen
they
the
all
guy.
exist as truck drivers. It's not discriminate. It's can you drive? Can you stay awake and drive this rig?
Well, do it safely.
Exactly.
Get to your load on time.
Right.
Do you
Not
have
be loaded on meth.
Do you have the adequate licensing? I can't have a guy hauling gasoline that doesn't have a hazmat endorsement.
Right.
So
Well, that's a legal issue.
But I have
There might be a person that has that and you still don't trust them to do it, because if you knew them personally and thought, I wouldn't hire this bozo for that, no matter what accreditation the government gave him.
right, but isn't looking past that person discriminating against them because they don't have the required
Well, yeah, you're
Right?
discriminating
You
on a
have to-
qualifications level.
discernment discrimination. I mean, how you use the word is
Exactly,
important.
discretion. Exactly. It's all just, well, just like we went into this with the Amy Coney Barrett hearing when the one senator tried to say sexual preference is now a term used for anti-homosexual people. Like, no. Preference doesn't necessarily even mean you have control over it. Preference can occur naturally. I naturally prefer certain things. I eat 2 different foods and one tastes better to me than the other. That's my preference. It doesn't mean that I like made a concerted effort that I'm going to discriminate against this food because I prefer this food.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean? They're trying to make it sound like if you have a preference, it's because you're like trying to push something out and favor something else. But it can happen just on its own. It's not like everybody actually thinks about, oh, I want to like this over that, you know? That's my opinion. I mean, we mostly all derive to our taste that way, right?
yeah.
I mean, how did you decide what kind of beer that you like best? You tried a bunch of different beers.
Discriminate
And then the one that
don't like and walk past
tasted
them.
right, the one that tasted best to you, you were like, this one tastes best. It's not like you went, oh, I like the Foster's can. I'm going to decide this one tastes better. You know what I mean? No, the one that appealed to your taste buds is the one that you chose.
You know, beer's not
That's discrimination. Exactly. That's preference.
legitimately anybody that tells you beer tastes good.
Yeah, they're lying unless they've been drinking it a long time. It's an acquired taste. You can learn to love it.
Right, but it's not a preferred taste.
No, not the first time you drink it.
The human body does not prefer the taste of...
No, I can agree. When you're a little kid and the first time you sip out of your dad's beer can or something, that's, you make that bitter, yucky face. Gross.
You know, Keystone, better beer face.
Exactly. But if I do drink beer, which I don't that often, but if I do, I like a nice, full-flavored, full, heavy-bodied beer. You know what I mean? I want to taste it. I don't want some watery Coors Light, that makes me piss in 5 minutes.
Yeah, but it's cheap.
And Budweiser, instant headache.
Dude, a lot of people get headaches from Anheuser-Busch products.
Not all of them. Not all their products, just Budweiser specifically. Oh, but if I drink one, a half hour later, I'll have a headache, man. Just something about Bud. I think it's their cold filtering process or something.
I did not know that.
I don't know. Yeah, there's something weird about Budweiser, dude. I will get a headache just off drinking one of them.
Well,
without even getting drunk. Like, how do you get a headache? I don't want a hangover without getting drunk first.
Maybe
at least let me enjoy the buzz, then I'll have the hangover.
Maybe we have a Flint, Michigan water situation happening in Fairfield, Sassoon area we don't know about.
Or maybe Budweiser just sucks. I'm not supposed to drink it anyway as a good libertarian because they actually are one of the sponsors of the CPD, the Commission for Presidential Debates, which is corrupt as shit. They're like a stronghold by the Democrats and Republicans. I care because I can't get none of my candidates I want to vote for on there until they let them in.
But
they go, well, you got to get like 15% on these 5 polls, except we don't include your name on these 5 polls, so nobody can pick you, so you can't get your 15%.
But they're a private company. They're a private corporation.
Maybe they are, but they're still run by the Democrats and Republicans.
Okay, but that's the problem.
To keep a stronghold for those parties. That is a problem.
That's the problem.
Exactly.
The problem is that our states won't even allow the party to be on the ballot unless they have X amount of votes in the state, right?
Exactly.
So the whole process is illegitimate.
Oh, totally.
It's like the Apportionment Act of 1929.
Well, have you heard of ranked choice voting?
Yeah,
I didn't mean to fluster you. I just asked a simple question. I mean, it's just a different way of voting.
The whole concept is like, this would be my first choice.
Exactly.
This would be my second choice. This would be my third choice. So, do you know where that ideal comes from?
I don't know its origins, no. I know it's been practiced in other places. So you're saying it's constitutional?
No.
Well, you just opened the Constitution after asking me if I knew where it came from. So what would that lead me to believe?
This is where
be in there somewhere.
It's not constitutional. That's not what I'm saying. I'm going to tell you where the people who are proponents of that are getting their personal justification for that voting system.
Right. And you turn to the Constitution to give me that.
I'm not saying it's constitutional for you and I to vote in that manner.
No, the Constitution didn't tell us directly how we have to arrange our voting. They just said who gets the powers in making those decisions.
And it may have
It doesn't say in there that you have to or can't. It doesn't say we're forbidden from using ranked choice voting.
So ranked choice comes from this idea that this is your first choice, this is your second choice, this is your third choice.
Right.
But they're taking from how we're supposed to elect the president, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there's a presidential ballot.
Right.
Okay. And if that would only include Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Joe Jorgensen, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. Whoever's
et
the Green Party,
right?
Constitution
and then
Party.
there's a vice presidential ticket,
right,
that would include all those running for vice president. Mike Pence.
Right. Now you're talking voting for them separately
Harris.
Instead of a package ticket.
Oh, you weren't here for that
Yeah,
show,
no, I don't think you were.
No, I'm new, man.
So what I'd like you to do, what I would like you to do is read the 12th Amendment of the United States Constitution.
For
and
everyone?
tell us, for everyone.
All right,
read
here
it out
goes,
loud
people.
And tell us, once you read it, how we should be electing our presidential and vice presidential candidates based on the Constitution. Not based on, and how we do it today.
Okay, well, here goes. Amendment 12. The electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for president and vice president, one of whom at least shall not be an inhabitant of the same state with themselves. They shall name in their ballots the person voted for as president, and in distinct ballots the person voted for as vice president. And they shall make distinct lists of all persons voted for as president and of all persons voted for as vice president and of the number of votes for each, which lists they shall sign and certify and transmit sealed to the seat of the government of the United States, directed to the President of the Senate. The President of the Senate shall, in the presence of the Senate and House of Representatives, open all the certificates, and the votes shall then be counted. The person having the greatest number of votes for president shall be the president, if such number be a majority of the whole number of electors appointed. And if no person have such majority, then from the persons having the highest numbers not exceeding 3 on the list of those voted for as president, the House of Representatives shall choose immediately by ballot the president. Yeah, I knew all that. Because they discussed that actually last election. That was going to be part of Gary Johnson's strategy, was they were hoping to throw it to the House of Representatives. Okay. But in choosing the president, the votes shall be taken by states, the representation from each state having one vote. A quorum for this purpose shall consist of a member or members from 2/3 of the states, and a majority of all the states shall be necessary to a choice. And if the House of Representatives shall not choose a president whenever the right of the choice shall devolve upon them before the 4th day of March next following, then the vice president shall act as president, as in the case of the death or other constitutional disability of the president. The person having the greatest number of votes as vice president shall be the vice president, if such number be a majority of the whole number of electors appointed. And if no person have a majority, then from the 2 highest numbers on the list, the Senate shall choose the vice president. A quorum for the purpose shall consist of 2/3 of the whole number of senators, and a majority of the whole number shall be necessary to a choice. But no person constitutionally eligible to the office of president shall be eligible to that of vice president of the United States.
So how do we elect the president?
Well, that basically sounds like it's describing the electorate college to me. But it sounds as if they're talking president and vice president being elected separately, but by a direct Democratic vote.
But it's not direct Democratic.
No, because we have the electors and the representatives.
So there's the word. In the House of Representatives shall choose immediately by ballot the president. But in choosing the presidents, the vote shall be taken by states, the representation from each state having one vote. Each state only has one vote. Why? Because people don't understand the president doesn't represent the people.
Right.
The president represents the states.
Right.
And the states in a contested electoral situation, the president only gets one vote from each state.
But you're talking once it's already passed through not having received an electorate college majority. Once they get that 270, if nobody reaches the 270 they need, then it moves into the House of Representatives. And then if they can't make a vote, then it does what you're saying.
No, this is how they make their vote. If there's...
Oh, I see what you're saying. In the House of Representatives, not by the population that they hold in the House, but by one representative from each state.
Like California District 10 is held by Josh Harder.
Right.
Until January X date, as prescribed by law, unless he should retain his position come Tuesday. Or, 14 days from now, whatever, they get done counting. That doesn't mean that Josh Harder gets a vote for Joe Biden. What that means is California has 55 electoral votes, right?
Right.
2 of those belong to senators. 53 of those belong to House seats, right?
Right.
So you take those 53 House seat districts, and every one of those individuals in the House, in those 53 districts, says, this is how I'd vote, this is how I vote.
And then they get a state vote based on that.
The quorum of the state vote.
Right.
And in California, do we have more Democrat or Republican?
Right. Well, that's an easy one. It's going to go blue.
Are you sure? Look it up. You got a computer right there.
Oh, are you talking districts or are you talking registered voters?
Districts.
Oh, okay. Districts, you might have a different story.
Which districts are controlled by Republicans versus Democrats in the state of California?
Right. Mostly the rural ones. Your more populated districts are usually Democrat.
But that quorum or that delegation is going to decide through popular vote in the quorum,
right, and come up with one
where
vote
the
for
vote
the whole
goes
state.
for. So that's what I'm asking. If can one of you two find?
Well, he's our tech guy. He should be on that.
He's over here doing some different stuff.
Our tech genius is over here dilly-dallying.
I believe the Republicans control the California state.
Oh,
quorum.
do they? Okay, I didn't know that. I would have thought Democrats.
Well, Matthew,
I would just think they outnumber them.
Matthew will let us know.
Yeah.
But say it gets to a contested situation where Nancy Pelosi's talking about she's going to get to make the decision. Well, number one, she don't get to.
It doesn't work that way.
10, 11, 12.
She can try to wield her influence, but that doesn't necessarily mean she'll be successful.
She can get popped in the dentures too.
I don't advocate violence against public officials.
If she's behaving poorly in the United States Congressional Building, I totally advocate somebody popping her in the car.
That's your statement.
So
I'm more in favor. Have you seen that video where they haul the guy out and they throw him like in a dumpster? Like they put him on their shoulders and carry him out of and they throw him in the trash can?
But you know what I think?
I could go for that.
A violation of constitutional directives is a felony against the people. I truly believe that.
Well, then she should be charged with a crime.
And I think that more people should be condoning the extermination of evil immediately in this nation. And if you're going to violate the people and the rules we've set forth for ourselves, that's evil.
Right.
So punch her in the throat and be done with it.
Then she's going to just keep doing what she's doing.
You get punched in the...
You need to charge her with a crime and put her in prison if she's committing a crime.
Right. Behavioral modification, though, is real. I
think she's a little old for corporal punishment, though. She's too old to learn a lesson. She's not a child. You'd probably kill her because she's like 80.
Then you're exterminating evil.
And you're also committing murder, but, that's a whole different story.
So it doesn't look like the Republicans hold the majority. It looks like it's 8-2. So there's 53. 53? 53 representatives. For the state of California, it's 8. There's 8 Republican districts. There used to be 9, but we have lovely Josh Harder here in our district. So, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's what I figured. They've got a supermajority in the state. I figured they probably got the...
However, registered voters-wise...
No, that doesn't even
they don't
matter.
Have,
I'm just
saying,
I
know it doesn't matter.
So it's possible that should our districts all be Republican, the California vote, while legislatively our electoral votes all go to, that towards that 270 winner take all Democrat, that in a contested situation, had the people put the right representatives in place.
Yeah.
Right? And listen, rural areas of California that go this purple swing. District 10, last presidential election cycle, voted for Donald Trump.
Right.
The popular in District 10 was Donald Trump. The popular for that electoral seat was Donald Trump.
Right.
Now, we don't apportion our electoral votes like that. We should, because that's
I don't
where
like the winner take all.
That's where the seat is representative of.
No, I agree with you. They should split the electoral votes state by state. I don't like the winner take all.
But who's failed in legitimate accounting of our electoral college? Who has failed and allowed this winner take all to happen? The people. Through the people we put in the assembly, through the people
and
we
allowing
put in
the legislation
Senate.
that they put into place.
Right, but these are our state legislatures that decide this. These are our governors that decide this. Californians, if you're tired of electing Democrat presidents, you need to think about who you're putting in the U.S. House of Representatives.
Yeah.
You need to think about who you're putting in the state assembly, the state senate, okay, and the governorship. We don't even need the governor, though. But if we have the state assembly and the state senate not deciding things like AB 5, but actually being there to do their job and say, this is how the people want their government ran.
Right.
We want our presidential nomination to go to the popular vote getter in the district. That's simple legislation that they could do right away, and everyone in there, Republican or Democrat, should be fighting for our voices to count. If every vote mattered, every legislature in this United States would say there needs to be a federal amendment to the Constitution requiring electoral college votes to be cast as popular vote in the district.
Right. Well, because that's the way it was designed.
The votes cast for the 2 senators will fall based on the popular vote of the state overall. Right? So if California, we know, goes Democrat, that would give 2 votes for the Democrat candidate, or the Libertarian, Republican, Green, whoever, whatever party received the most votes. They would then apportion that elector as popular voted in the district for the remaining 53. And I gotta tell you, 90% of the time, California would not be a winner take all.
No, it wouldn't. Well, if you look at the last electoral map by district instead of state, I mean, every state had red other than the highly popularized areas.
And that's how it's going to be today or Tuesday.
Most likely, yes.
But
that's what I think too.
We're not going to get that because our system is manipulated. Our system is manipulated from within because we're not choosing the right assembly people. We're not choosing the right state senators. We're not holding them accountable to instituting common sense governance rules. They have to regulate who I hire or fire, or who I pay with federal withholding, or who I don't pay with federal withholding. These aren't the things that we send them there to decide.
Right, right.
If Justin wants to come build a roof for me and I pay Justin and say you're responsible for your own taxation out of that, that's a business decision between you and I, not you, I, the Assembly, the Senate, and the governor.
Right.
Your taxes are your problem.
Mm-hmm.
I should be able to hire you. Say, okay, you're not an employee, you're independent.
Right, right.
You bring your own tools. You doing this job. Whatever. No, they say, I have to have you as an employee. I have to do your withholding. Why? Because from the very basics of civilization, they're controlling us.
Well, see, and this brings us to the libertarian argument against business licensing, like you were discussing earlier.
I don't need their permission to do anything.
Exactly, and that's the libertarian stance. We view licensing as basically the government having a stronghold on who can do what. It actually also enables the union powers, because unions are protectionist. If you're not part of their guild, they don't want you to be able to do that job. You know what I mean? And they will use the law to their favor to help that from happening. And it goes very well with what you're talking about. All the different business licensing and permits that you have to obtain to do this or that. And then, like you're saying, they're going to create even more regulations about who you can hire and why and how you have to pay them. The more the government interferes with our personal economics between each other, the less freedom we have personally. And also it takes away our economic freedom. And then, they're using that to go misappropriate it to other causes that most of us don't believe in to one degree or another, whether it be, foreign intervention or the welfare state here at home or the police state, militarization of police. It's all these things that everybody talks about being against. But when you even start talking about, deregulation or maybe lowering taxes, everybody flips their lid on you. It's like people have been brainwashed into thinking this is the only way it'll work. When the private industry shows time and time again that the market dictates what people's desires are and what they're willing to spend their money on, what they deem as a necessity. And that gives you the best guidance more than any one person saying, oh, you should make X amount of number of this or that and sell it to these people. You know what I mean? It's going to go where it needs to go. That's what evolution does. It makes that natural selection. And the economy evolved the same way everything else in human society evolved. It wasn't like there was one planner that said, we're going to do all this. It came together because people had needs. Some people have skills that are better than other people's skills, Right. If you're good at raising livestock and I'm good at growing crops, there's no point in both of us trying to do both when one of us is not that adequate at one or the other, when we could both do it really well and then trade to each other for what we need. That's where the market started. It wasn't like some grand design to take power away from poor people.
Right.
That's where personal responsibility and motivation comes in. You got to get out there and you've got to earn and achieve it. If you were alone in the wilderness, nobody would do anything for you. You've got to go find yourself food. You've got to find yourself clothing and shelter. That's where we started.
Yeah.
We were just land dwelling migrant people, just wandering around trying to find food until someone said, hey, let's make a shelter and let's try to raise our own food or grow our own food.
Get out of the cave.
Exactly. Stop the tribal nomadic living, that's what separated us from other animals. I mean, we wouldn't have been able to climb to the top of the food chain if we hadn't done all that with technology. And it's funny. And now it seems like people want to erase all of this. They view it all as a bad thing, Yeah, there's been really awful things that happened throughout all of human history. But at the same time, great things have come from that. And we wouldn't be living in the comfortable world that we have today if bad things hadn't happened. You know, no matter what culture you look at in world history, you're going to find things that you aren't in favor of. It's just human nature.
Yep.
You
Well-
guys see that old Sean Connery passed, huh?
Yeah, I
80
just
years
saw
old.
that.
Just thought I'd mention
Yep.
that. You know, he's got a lot of fans out there. Everybody loves some Sean Connery.
Yep.
Also, my favorite country singer-songwriter, Billy Joe Shaver, he passed away this week. Got to see him a few times in concert, meet him. I do a lot of his songs. So anybody that likes some good old country music, check out Billy Joe Shaver. He wrote a lot of songs for Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings, and you probably enjoy his music, and even though you probably never heard of him.
How about Ray Wiley Hubbard?
Did he pass?
No.
Oh, no, I like him though a lot. Oh, I thought maybe he died, because Jerry Jeff Walker died this week too. Those guys are both like major country, outlaw country guys. Yeah, I like Ray Wiley Hubbard. I got a few of his songs
Saw
in my
him.
catalog. Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, nice. I saw
the Black Oak.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, and up in Sonora?
Yeah, at the
In
Black
Tuolumne?
Oak. Yes, sir.
Nice.
And
Yeah, I saw Jerry Jeff Walker at Hardly Strictly Bluegrass in San Francisco, and I've seen Billy Joe Shaver a few times.
Paul Thorne at the Rio in Santa Cruz.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never seen him. I've heard
Really?
of him. Yeah,
He's
I
going
like
to come
him.
to the Black Oak. He keeps postponing the show because of Rona.
Ah, that sucks.
Serious. I think they're into November 2021 now for tickets that I bought for
Yeah, I've been seeing shows like way in
for a
advance.
March show.
Yeah, I've been seeing shows way in advance. I'm like, wow, really? Well, that's all right.
what
There
else
was
did
some
we
good.
see?
There were some good concerts canceled this summer that I was really looking forward to. That's probably the worst thing about the lockdown is all the fun stuff that it killed.
Let's see. I saw. Well, we rode up to Ace of Spades.
Oh, nice in
And
Sacramento.
and we saw Waylon's son.
Which one?
Shooter Jennings.
Shooter, nice. I saw Sturgill Simpson at that venue just a few months before he won the Grammy for Best Country Album.
I think we saw the Chris Robinson Brotherhood there.
Oh yeah, they're good. I saw them at Hardly Strictly Bluegrass one year. I love music, man, so I'll go see a live performance. Like, I'll watch music that I normally wouldn't listen to. If it's being played live, I'll sit there and enjoy it.
So the battery died on the.
Are we running out of time?
We're running out of time.
We talked too long.
The
basically
battery died on the main camera, huh?
on the main camera. So we have a backup here, which is my camera. But it also, maybe I shouldn't get a power adapter for it because it's a hard, like, you have to be done in an hour and a half.
Hasn't been an hour and a half yet.
Okay, fine, an hour and 22 minutes. 20.
So just to
3
take,
minutes right now.
we just took it to somewhere, So where's Chris Robinson from?
I don't know.
The Black Crowes, man.
Well, I know the band. I thought you meant like geographically.
No, same guy. I don't know where the hell they live.
Oh, okay.
I don't
No,
care.
I thought you meant like what state or what city or. No, I know the Black Crowes. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but a lot of older people that listen to the program won't know who Chris Robinson Brotherhood
Right.
is.
Yeah,
That's like
I hear you.
Chris Robertson was the Black Crowes.
And he was married to what's her face, Goldie Hawn's daughter, Kate Hudson. I don't know if he still is, but I know they were for a while.
I don't know. I don't keep track of who celebrities marry.
I don't do it on purpose, but I follow so much between music and movies and stuff. It's just it enters my feed. You know how all the smart stuff these days they mentally psychologically profile you and decide which stories to share with you. So they look at what kind of stuff you shop for and what kind of music you listen to, and they feed you the stories that go in line with that. So anymore, it's like not even voluntary. But I've always been one to follow the pop culture pretty well, just because I'm so into music and acting and movies and stuff. The arts and entertainment.
Well, unless you guys have any other specific topics, should probably call a little wrap here.
Yeah, I don't know. The biggest thing, I guess the biggest takeaway is a lot of us will be disenfranchised come Tuesday anyways.
Oh, yeah. Well, no matter who wins,
Yeah.
one side or the other is going to be very upset.
Yep.
But the sides are so segregated.
Yeah, polarized.
They're polarized.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
And
Yeah.
let's realize why they are. That's by design.
Oh, yeah.
And that
The media drives a lot of it. A lot of it.
No.
Not entirely, but...
The media only drives reports on what they want because
well, right, it's an
they're
instrument.
tied to they're tied to their political corporations.
Right, the
as
media
well.
is a tool for them to spread it.
The thing to understand, if you don't take anything else out of today's episode, is who we put in the House of Representatives, who we put in the state Senate, the state Assembly.
Legislative matters just as much as executive,
Matters
if not more. Yeah,
Matters
exactly
more
really.
because the president is the representative of the state on a worldwide level. Right. That president is telling the Department of Justice what they'll do,
right?
What they won't do, telling the military what they'll do, what they won't do,
right?
Telling the rest of the world, you're not going to do us like this. We're going to conduct business like that. The president's not keeping you safe from coronavirus.
No.
The legislature's not keeping you safe from
Nobody is but yourself. Nobody will
Right.
keep you safe from anything but yourself. Don't count on others. Don't count on other people. You can't.
Wearing a political banner on you and thinking that your vote for president matters is the biggest falsehood or perpetration of dishonesty that the government has ever done to us, because our voice doesn't matter when it comes to who's president.
Right.
Because we've allowed our states to manipulate how those electoral votes are cast.
Right.
Right.
Well, and even how the candidates enter the race, like we discussed with the debates and the requirements to even get on a ballot.
Well, you just read it. How many ballots are there supposed to be?
Yeah, but you're talking about one specific election. I'm talking across the board. I'm not talking specifically president.
So then
I'm talking when I want to go run against Adam Gray for District Assembly 21 in California.
Well,
even to do a write-in campaign,
the Republican
there are
Party
so many ridiculous requirements that they want you to give up before you even finish the process.
You can thank the Republican Party of California for the...
Yeah, I certainly can. Them and the Democrats, both of them.
Well, no, but the Republican Party of California pushed the top two.
Did they? Well, that was stupid of them.
Primary.
That was the top two is one of the worst things we have in this state.
Yeah, well, convince a majority of people to vote for it, you can make it happen.
Yeah, well, that's why democracy is not all it's cracked up to be.
Well, that's
everybody
why we're
says
not
well, I know we're a Republican. I thank God for that, because everybody that thinks democracy is the greatest, no. Democracy is a big, mad, angry mob getting to tell you what to do because they outnumber you. That's democracy.
All right. Well, before we leave, John predicts Javier Lopez will not win City.
No, I'm sure DeRosset will take that one.
So where do you guys coming down on Harder and House? Do you have predictions on that?
I think
thoughts on
Harder
that?
will keep the seat.
Okay.
I don't think House will win it.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I honestly don't have a prediction. I can see it honestly going either way.
I think Harder's going to stay.
Okay.
Dude, there is one race that's not bubbled in on my mail-in ballot, and that's the one.
Mm.
And I've been very vocal on this program about
Yeah,
maybe
here's
sitting
my ballot.
that one
Here's my
out.
ballot. It's right here. I haven't filled out
Hey,
anything.
if you can't make a good, solid choice, or you're uninformed on a topic or something, there's no shame in not voting on one particular thing.
I'm 100%.
It's better than making a misinformed choice.
I'm
Yeah,
100% not uninformed or not making a misinformed choice.
If it's just your preference to not vote for either, there's also nothing wrong with that. Preference.
No, I'm discriminating against that part of the ticket because neither man is qualified for the job.
You know
Neither man has put their balls on the table and told me, John, you're right. John, the Constitution says the things you're saying. Neither man has even personally acknowledged the comments on either one of their Facebook pages.
Well, then I would not vote for either of them.
You can have a damn Facebook page, and if you're not commenting to the statements happening on your page, you just have something out there
you're
to help
ignoring
us
people.
to help us argue with each other.
Right.
And I'm not a goddamn troll. I'm a constituent. And if you don't come on there, Josh Harder, and say he's a constituent, he's actually sat down with me, he's actually involved, shut your mouth and treat each other civilly.
Well, and not only should he respond
and if you're
as
Ted
you...
House and you don't come out and have the discussion on Facebook, Facebook is not just something for you to throw a picture of your pretty goddamn face up there and then never talk to us.
Well, and it's a place for them to address the issues that you're bringing up in a public forum where anyone can see it, where it would clarify it for anyone who's wondering. So it would benefit them not just to answer because you're a potential voter, but all the other potential voters it could affect. I talked about this last week with, me running Facebook ads when I went for the state assembly. I answered people. Even if they were rude, I would answer them, and then I would delete their comment if I thought they were being too, obscene or whatever.
If you're a licensed veterinarian in the state of California, that swings a big stick when you're talking viral immunities.
Right.
Now, I personally choose to be anti-vaxxation because I know a vaccine for a virus is inadequate. It's not going to happen.
You're
you
talking
take the
vaccination
flu shot
for this particular disease.
For the flu, for any virus.
Right, but you're not just completely anti-vax in every aspect, right?
Well,
the polio vaccine, you're not against that, right? You probably
had the polio vaccine.
Like ones that you've had that are safe, that they've had long enough to be studied and stuff.
Dude, when we were young kids, they were a lot safer than they are now.
Well, because they took longer times to study them and actually look at the effects
what
of
I'm
what they were doing.
saying is, so I had a tetanus shot. Should be the most simplest vaccine around.
Right.
Okay? I will never receive another tetanus shot. You know why? Because it made me sicker than shit.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I never got sick from a tetanus shot. That seems like it should
When was the last time you had one?
It's been a long time.
Okay, so I had one 2-3 years ago. Yeah,
so you think maybe they've done something? They changed
they used
it.
to be, and it doesn't matter. That's a personal decision on what I will or will not put into my body.
Right.
But let's talk facts.
Right.
Viruses mutate.
Yeah, exactly.
COVID-19 is a mutation of SARS
even the
coronavirus.
Right, even the flu shot each year is not necessarily targeting the specific flu that's hitting us. It's their best guess at what they think will come around.
Right. So,
and even that could mutate.
So if you make a vaccine against coronavirus, COVID-19, it's only COVID from 19, not COVID from 20, not COVID for 2021, not COVID for 2022. And if you get sick from COVID last year, you may not have a drastic reaction to COVID next year.
Yeah, depending on how much the virus mutates. If it mutates only a little bit, you probably still will maintain most of your immunity if you've had something similar to it.
We have discussed coronavirus on this show more than a licensed California veterinarian has in the District 10 race, and I cannot in all good conscience say that he's the man to go to Washington because he's ignoring his trade.
Right.
He's not sharing the information because the bastard wants the seat and he doesn't want to offend the people that aren't going to vote for him anyways. But you know what, Ted? You lost my vote because you won't stand up and say this ain't nothing we should be worried about. Our states shouldn't be doing us like this. The president shouldn't be doing us like that. You shouldn't hide on one statement you make on a veterinarian website and then play politics.
Right.
Politics in the district is telling us that we are not crazy. That what we are thinking is legitimately accurate as your profession says.
Right.
And if you can't do that because you're playing politics and you're trying to kowtow to that blue vote.
Right.
And you don't have the concept that we're not blue or red in this district, but we want straight up. You ain't worth me bubbling the goddamn box for.
Right. No, I hear you arguing totally. Well, maybe you're onto something with the not even marking it, because you can say a lot of similar things with Harder, because Harder is a photo op guy.
Dude,
he goes out and he'll pose in like one thing, like he's doing this great service to the community so that they can take a bunch of pictures and that's all you ever see.
I'm not voting for Josh Harder because Josh Harder is a constitutional criminal. He's proven himself to be a constitutional criminal, and I don't give a crap if the president did sign his, take out the swamp rat bill. The president violated us there. Josh Harder violated us there. Josh Harder continues to violate us.
I'm not
And
familiar with that one. Can you tell me what that's all about?
the nutria has invaded California.
Oh, those little rodents from South America.
Right,
They're
so-
all over like Merced County and whatever.
Well, so Josh Harder put a bill out to take federal funds and send them back to California. It's a great thing. His supporters
I didn't
are all,
know he did that.
Thank you for helping us, Josh. Yeah, it received bipartisan support in the House and the Senate, and the president signed
So
it.
that's his
Well,
legacy.
I'm telling
That's
you
what he's
right
done
now.
as our representative.
But it doesn't matter.
No, that's
Through the 11th
trivial
Amendment, they've
issue.
stolen all taxation is theft.
You're
Unless-
sounding more and more libertarian as we talk,
unless
man.
unless it's done for enumerated purposes right here, right? So you're going to take my goddamn money out of my pocket. You're going to put it in a big pot with everybody else's, and then you're going to make a bill that this doesn't say you can make to engage in a issue that this doesn't give you authority over.
Right.
That
Well,
goddamn
welcome to 95% of what they do.
that nutria is in California. We have a California Department of Fish and Wildlife.
Yeah.
Department of Fines and Games, if you want to get technical. But we have a state government, and we can take care of that ourselves if you never take the money from us to begin with.
Right.
But if you produce a constitutionally repugnant amendment, and you have to remember the word, that amendment fundamentally changed how we check our government.
All right. So that was a great rant. Do you know what he's actually using the money for that he received in federal
No,
aid
I have
for
not.
these? Like, how are they applying that to getting rid of these nutria? I know the rodents.
I
you're
haven't.
talking
You know
about.
how to get rid of the nutria?
You kill them.
You shoot them one at a time
And I've-
until there's no more nutria.
I've actually heard they're pretty decent eating.
Really?
I mean, they just look like a beaver with yellow teeth. I mean, they're
I mean, I don't know. I know of a bunch of probably like 12-year-old boys who love to grab a 22 and go
do it the
hunting.
same way they do
I
with the
mean-
wild pigs. Pigs are an invasive species, and you can't.
Yeah.
But we
when you
have-
rut them out, you
that's
have
called
to. You have to.
depredation.
Exactly. You have to eliminate or eradicate their entire
Yeah.
pod or whatever
Yeah.
den. You can't just kill some of them because they'll reproduce and come back like really fast. You got to go in and just kill them all out.
Yeah,
Let the hunters do it, dude. People want to hunt. Let them do it.
exactly.
If they don't want to eat the meat, let them feed homeless people with it.
Our vote is our voice, and my voice has to be consistent on the ballot, on this show, and in public.
Right.
And if I put a black mark there, then I'm a hypocrite.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. Hey, you're discriminating against that particular race. Hey, dude, I've discriminated against entire elections because there's been times where I didn't even vote. So, and people like to, people want to shame you for not voting, but if you just outright don't believe in it.
I think that
voting.
people.
I voted this time. I'm not saying I never vote, but there's been elections that I didn't care about. And I'm
But
like,
he was intentional. It's not that you didn't care
Exactly.
enough to research what you were
Right, it
interested
wasn't
in.
that I was uninformed.
Exactly.
I still knew
That's
what was
where-
going on. I just
yeah.
didn't give it.
That's exactly where
So
I
what
will.
you're-
I will shame somebody for not being informed and not voting.
Yeah,
but
if
if you're
they're
informed
uneducated.
and not voting, then that's
Yeah,
because
because it's almost like a protest. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly.
So seriously, my one voice isn't going to cost Ted House
No,
the
it's not
election.
going to.
No.
It's not going to change.
If Ted House doesn't win, it's because Ted hasn't fulfilled somebody's desire in the 4 years that he's been running for this
Right.
election.
Right.
And let's face
Yeah,
it,
because he ran last time too.
and let's face it, the sign
He's running
hasn't
2
came
elections.
down.
Oh, he's already run twice before this.
Last time he ran for primary.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Okay, he ran
But the year
for
before
primary.
that, he ran as well.
He was primaried by Denham and Harder.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Then he's running again because Denham's not going to come back and run.
right.
Right? So let's in all honesty, as men that sit at the Grizzly Rock Cafe down here and attended those meetings that Ted would speak at
Oh, what he came to the state of Jefferson meetings or what?
regularly.
Oh, okay.
We've had him
I went
as a
to-
guest on the show.
I went to a few, but I never seen him there. When I to the ones that I went,
okay.
but I went to one of his
But-
town halls, and I saw him at a gun show at the Modesto Center Plaza one time. So I've chatted with him a few times.
But he would always come. He has not stopped campaigning for the District 10 seat.
Yeah.
for 4 years.
Right, right.
And if you can't get it done, Ted, step aside and let someone else try. Because if you don't do it now, you're not going to do it. Just like Harder hasn't stopped campaigning in 3 years, you haven't stopped campaigning in 4. And if you cannot get it done, step aside. Because I'm telling you what, I think the tide is turning. I think people are realizing that none of these parties are acting in their best interest.
Right, and they're getting tired of it.
Well,
So that's all
freaking
hard.
Republican Central Committee. And
That's all that-
Stanislaus County Republican Committee is milquetoast.
That's a joke.
They are rhinos.
That's all Harder's done is the Nutria thing. That's all he's done, really, right? I don't know of anything
he's
else that
co-sponsored a bunch of other stuff. It does
He's
co-sponsoring
voted
means-
party lines on everything else.
Co-sponsoring probably means someone else wrote it, and he just agreed and went along with it. You know, or maybe he wrote part of it.
First of all,
I'm just
Pelosi
saying
said,
he hasn't really done much. Yeah, I haven't really seen any true activity.
First
out
of all, any
he
bill.
hasn't made a name for himself.
So I very large print, and we've shared it on past episodes in our show notes. My Assembly constitutional amendment. It only takes the front and back of a page because I purposely printed it that large, right? At no time should any law we're making, federally or state law we make, take up more than an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper.
Right.
And if it takes up thousands of pages, that's your first indication
That it's a bad law.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you need a legal scholar to tell you what it means, you should probably abandon it.
He has personally not sponsored a single.
Yeah, that's what I thought. He's been relatively inactive. He's done some town halls, and like I said, he's done a ton of photo ops.
He's
only
just
see
been the
pictures of him
co-sponsor
being
on a
the
bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I see him being in
And I
pictures,
bet
being
if-
the little Boy Scout all over our area.
Well, and I have
That's about
personal,
it.
I have personal experience with that. That is all he does.
Yeah,
He just is
I
out there
can
for the
tell.
photo op opportunity. Doesn't really care about
And
the
if you-
constituency.
If you open those bills, and start discussing those bills, I guarantee you there's not one legitimate enumerated responsibility dealt with there.
It's all programs. When I went to his town
Josh
hall, all he talked
Josh
about
Harder
was program this,
co-sponsored
program
the
that.
articles of impeachment, for crying out loud.
Right. Yeah, when I went to his town hall, it was all this program, that program, develop this, develop that. But in my ears, all I'm hearing is tax, 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 spin, 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 money, money, money. You know, people someday need to come to the realization that there are ways to help someone other than just throwing money at their problems.
You know how to help someone?
By helping
You're
them with
sitting
what
there-
they need help with.
You're sitting there bringing me a book that's got a Libertarian Party of Stanislaus County sticker on it, telling me you sound like a libertarian. And I'm going to tell you, you know how to help people? You get that libertarian out of the Libertarian Party and change it to the Constitutional Party.
You know, I've looked at the Constitution Party's platform, and I am much more in line with the Libertarian. When I registered as a Libertarian, I went through
Constitutional-
every party and looked at their
Now,
platform.
okay, there actually
There
is
is a
a
Constitution
constitutional party.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is the Constitution mentions parties no place.
No
No place.
George Washington was famously opposed to them. Are we out of?
No,
camera?
you're good. No, you're good. John was looking at the wrong camera.
Oh,
I was telling you, look there. That camera. There.
yeah. George, this man right here, Mr. Washington, was very famously opposed to political parties. They existed, but they didn't have the stronghold that they have now. But now you have almost 2 centuries of the top 2 parties having power and control, and they've done nothing.
Why?
Because they've
Apportionment.
they've made more laws and more regulations to help it ensure that they maintain that power by
Apportionment
keeping other people out of the picture.
of 1929.
Well, it goes back to that, right?
Well, there you go. I wouldn't have been able to put a finger on it like that, but I know that they.
And
It's all the stuff we've been
and
talking
the
about. I mean,
Republicans,
the
and the
requirements to
Republicans
run-
were in power when they froze the seats in the House of
Oh, yeah.
Representatives.
Republicans do just as much bad stuff as Democrats. They just take turns doing it. You know, it's the Republicans for a little while, then the Democrats, and they just kind of swap back and forth so that you hate one less than the other.
Well, that's it. I got to go to Tulare.
Sounds like fun.
I'm going to go play my guitar.
I am headed to Rosa Brothers Milk to get a month and a half supply worth of milk.
Nice.
Get the root beer flavor. That stuff is awesome. Seriously. I'm not joking.
When I tell you we're going to get a month and a half supply worth of milk, that
you're
milk
getting
lasts
like a
a
can.
month and a half. No.
Wow.
It'd last me a week the way I drink milk.
No, we're going to go
I
down
consume milk. No, I know what
and
you're
we're
saying.
probably going to buy
You're going to bring back
10
a tanker.
gallons of milk in differing
Nice.
bottles.
Right. Yeah, because they still do the glass bottles and
Right,
everything.
but they're half-gallon bottles.
Right.
So we'll probably get
Well, they have the pint or
4
the quart
whole
ones
milks
too, don't they?
We'll probably get 2 chocolate milks. We'll probably
The
get a bunch of
strawberry.
flavors. Maybe some ice cream. And I got to tell you, if you're in California, Two Larry's probably not an obscene drive
No.
for you. The milk lasts a month and a half.
Now, me and my ex that I was with, she was a bartender, and we got hired to go down and bartend at these cattle auctions. It was just like a bunch of cattle auction, and they just set up an outdoor bar for us to work so they could drink while they're buying their livestock. And Rosa Brothers came there and furnished, and they did all the giving out samples and selling their bottles. Man, that stuff is good.
It is the premium milk in California.
Awesome.
I've had
You hear that, Rosa Brothers?
I've had Stearns out of Petaluma.
Wow.
I've had Nutchers out of Ceres or Modesto. Nutchers is crap.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they will tell you they're a premium brand, and I'm sorry if you don't agree with me, but
Is that the one that's in Save Mart now?
Yeah.
Because they used to have Rosa Brothers in Save Mart,
And
and
it's
then
not the
they got
same.
another generic facsimile of it.
yeah, it's Nutchers. They're on Grayson.
They try to look like Rosa Brothers though, even their bottles and everything.
Yeah, they're on Grayson
They
Road.
totally stole the whole.
They didn't steal it. I mean, anybody.
Well, no,
can
I mean
have
if
that
you go
bottle
back to the
made.
'50s, that everything came that way. I'm just saying they copied the idea of bringing it back. Rosa Brothers was the first ones I saw that really started bringing that back and making it a normal thing again.
right, and it's all here and there, but
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not suggesting they had like a patent copyright on
Rosa's-
it or anything. But
Rosa's is the premium milk in California, and we travel for quality.
right.
Now, when the milk will last a month and a half in your refrigerator,
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna go once a month or so and get the milk and get quality,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not going to buy milk from a local company if it's not the same quality.
Right.
I'm a commercial truck driver. I drive 12 hours a
Yeah,
day.
it doesn't bother you
Tripping
one
to
bit.
Two Larry is not. I mean,
Not a big deal. 2-hour drive. Huh?
well, it's not that big of a deal when you get a superior product.
Right. Right.
And just like our government should be legitimate, I want my milk to be legitimate. I don't want illegitimate food product.
Right.
Anyway,
It's important.
so you play music. Matthew will
I gotta go
do what Matthew does, and I'll
take
go
a run to the
get some milk.
dump. I got a bunch of tile and carpet to get rid of. My entire truck bed's full of.
Sounds expensive.
You tell me.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
All right. Well, it's been
Well-
fun ruffling your feathers today, John. Got some good ranting out of you.
John always gets ruffled.
I want to thank everybody for listening to this episode of Forgotten Liberty Radio. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our podcast feed. You can find us on all the major podcasts clients. Email us feedback at forgottenlibertyradio.com or give us a phone call 209-214-809. And thank you so much for listening to this episode. We'll catch you next time.
And telling our co-host your feedback isn't
Yes.
necessarily the best deal. So, send us your feedback. As long as we don't bang the mics around.
Yeah, that's important.
Sword fight with the mics.